Hey everyone, we're going to kick off now, second half. Hopefully you enjoyed lunch. I'm going to hand over to Bill Fisher from eMarketer. Bill, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Hope you've had a nice lunch. I'm an analyst at eMarketer. I deal in numbers. This is my wheelhouse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a sort of a 10,000 feet view of the general marketing industry, and I'm going to concentrate on the state of the economy, the realities of the economy that we're in, and some of the impacts that's going to have on marketing and on the affiliate space as well. So I'm going to use the ad industry as a bit of a proxy. I know marketing and affiliate marketing is a little bit more than that. But this is an area that we're quite strong in. We produce a lot of ad spending forecasts. So I want to ground this by taking a look at the state of the ad market. I'm going to be looking at the UK in the main. I might look at some global data or US data here and there, but the UK market in the main. And it would be remiss of me not to say that everything is a little bit cloudy at the moment. Everything isn't perfect. We know we're in a difficult economy. These were the kind of headlines that we were seeing at the start of this year. This was from a study from the World Federation of Advertisers. Ad budgets being cut, these were the kind of stories that were out there. We produce a whole bunch of ad spending forecasts for countries all around the world. We update them twice a year. We updated them in the third quarter of 2022. So when it came around to Q1, we were doing our next update. We had to take into account these kind of headlines. We had to take into account company filings, company results, and other insight and data points to come up with our new forecasts. And I'll take a look at the total media ad spending market for the UK to begin with. When we put this forecast together, we had to make some significant downward revisions to our forecast because of the environment that we were in. The growth that we projected for 2023, we had to reduce that by 4 percentage points. It wouldn't be right to say that knocked 2 billion off the market, but £2 billion off our projected market size were impacted by that downgrade. Even when we go into the digital space, which always outperforms the overall media ad spend market, there's still struggles there. This is just a good illustration of just quite how difficult the market has become. So we've been tracking digital ad spend in the UK since 2009, and this is the lowest growth rate that we've seen since we've been tracking this. You'll notice that big spike in 2021. Just keep an eye on that because I'll talk about that a little bit later. This was as we started coming out of the lockdowns, and a lot of ad spend came flooding into the market. We expected things to normalize in 2022, which it did. We just weren't expecting that extra dip. But I want to come back to this. We made downward revisions. We've got the grey clouds in the background, but there is a but. I'm going to sort of switch and sort of be a bit more positive now. We're still talking about growth. So although our projections were downgraded, we were still predicting a 3% growth year over year, 3.3% I think was the actual number. And we're still looking at a fairly healthy market, £33 billion. And again, let's sort of turn this around. Looking at this kind of headline, this data from the WFA. As an analyst, I look at headlines like this and I think, okay, so 30% cutting ad budgets. What about the other 70%? What's happening there? And part of my job as an analyst is to scratch beneath the surface. So I scratched, and there was some cause for optimism. Maybe the clouds aren't quite as dark. This, funnily enough, wasn't the headline, didn't fit the narrative, but the same proportion, 30%, said they were actually going to increase their ad budgets in 2023. 40% said it was going to stay the same. So part of my job as an analyst is to look at all these numbers, look at all the stats, and provide a balanced view. So this headline is from a news site. I don't think the 30% increase was mentioned in that news story. So I've got to dig beneath the surface, as I said, look around and come to this balanced viewpoint. I didn't have to look far to come to a balanced viewpoint here, because within that same survey, there was this statistic, which is probably the most balanced view that you could take. And that was that 3/4 of respondents said that, times are tough, our budgets are under scrutiny, but, it's not a doomsday scenario that we're talking about. So what does this all mean for us in the room? We've got rid of the clouds now. Let's talk about rockets flying to the stars. I may be overselling this, but there are definitely opportunities in the marketing space and particularly in the affiliate space. So I'm going to look at a few of those opportunities. These might seem a little cryptic, but I'll get into them in turn. And there are challenges as well. I won't pretend that everything is rocket ships. But before I get into them, I want to have a bash at sizing the affiliate space. And as I whisper at the end, it isn't easy. Pretty opaque, this area. We don't actually forecast affiliate spend at eMarketer. Our forecasting, the way we produce forecasting is we use a multi-pronged approach. Our ad spend forecast, for example, we look at literally hundreds of data sources, thousands and thousands of data points to arrive at our numbers. That doesn't exist in the affiliate space. So I'm not going to give you an eMarketer number. I'm going to give you a Bill Fisher number. And it's not necessarily my number. I'm going to rely on data that is out there. There's just not that much of it. So this is a study from the IAB and PwC. It pegged the affiliate market spend in 2022 at a little over £1 billion. Pretty good growth in 2022, 33% year over year, which is fantastic. Almost double 2019's total. That growth from 2020 to 2021 is quite interesting. So if you remember back to the digital ad spend graphic that I showed with that huge peak in 2021, when all this advertising money was flooding back into the market, the affiliate space did not benefit from that. And that's something, again, that I will come back to, so keep that in mind. The growth in 2020 that we saw there are indications that directionally that growth is going to continue. So our good friends and kind hosts, Partnerize, were kind enough to share this data with me. This is on their own platform. I hope I've got the nomenclature right. Partnership marketing revenue growth, and this is EMEA data. But they measure it year over year, but each quarter. And for the first quarter of this year, 31% growth. The 2022 growth perhaps wasn't as big as the IAB data, but for Q1 2023, 31% in the same ballpark as that PwC and IAB data. And remember, I just want to come back to this 4.9% digital ad spend growth. When you're looking at growth figures like 5%, and then in a space close to digital advertising, you've got 31 growth. This is phenomenal growth, okay? Not apples to apples. I want to bring in my good friend and colleague, Max Willens. He is an eMarketer analyst based in New York. He spoke at a Partnerize event in the US last year. He did the same thing as me. He tried to size the market in the US, and that asterisk indicates that he did the same thing as me. He made an educated guess, and he pegged the market in the US at $10 billion. So with a little bit of creative accountancy, it's not apples to apples stuff, but if we look at the size of the digital ad market in the US compared to the size of the digital ad market in the UK, it's around 9x. And if we multiply the 1 and a bit billion by 9, it's pounds to dollars, but we're getting into that kind of area. So I'm sticking with that figure. Obviously, that's a 2022 figure. So if we project that forward to get us a 2023 estimate, and we use that 30% X figure. Let's be bullish. Let's be brave. We could be potentially looking at a market worth nearly 1.4 billion pounds this year. This is all good, right? This is positive. Lee told me I had to be positive, right? Is that okay? This is positive. So let's look at these opportunities. Opportunity number one, consumer behavior. So I'm in the market of helping my consumers understand where their customers are, what they're doing, how can they reach them, how can they make money, and we all are, right? That's what we need to do. That's how we make money. So a lot of what we do at eMarketer is help them understand where consumers are spending their time and where they're spending their money. And the good news is, that second thing, they are spending money still. So we produce retail sales forecast. This is a global one because the UK numbers we're currently updating, but it's a similar trend. And you can see that 2020 aside, retail sales continue to grow year on year, pretty much. Even now, in 2023, in this very tough, turbulent economic time, we're still looking around 4% growth in retail sales. That's the red line. The black line is retail e-commerce sales, outperforming total retail throughout our forecast, which also is quite good for us in the room, right? There are a couple of caveats. I can't be completely positive all the time. So we have inflationary effects and cohort effects. What I mean by that is inflation. We know what inflation is, but our retail sales is an absolute figure. And so although that number is going up, doesn't necessarily mean that people are buying more things. Things cost more. They're just spending more on the same thing. So that is buoying this figure. In terms of the cohort stuff, what I mean by that is you show this graph to a number of people and they'll say, you're having a joke. You know, I'm not spending more, not a chance. I don't have more money to spend. But if we go up the ladder of affluence, there are people who are still spending more, again, helping keep this number buoyant. So that's people spending money. They're also spending a lot of their time digitally as well. So they're spending a lot of money digitally because they're spending a lot of time in digital environments. We also forecast time spent with media. And this isn't surprising stuff, but as little ago as 2019, actually, that's when there was this inflection point where people in the UK, this is amongst adults actually, adults in the UK were spending more time with digital media than they were with traditional. I mean, we kind of saw this coming. Here's the validation of that. And the gap continues to widen. So folks are increasingly in digital environments, and they're spending there, as we saw from the previous slide. I wanted to just drop this in because there's not going to be a huge amount of industry-specific data in this presentation, unfortunately, because there isn't a lot of data industry-specific around affiliate marketing per se, but I just wanted to drop this in there because it's around the beauty space, and it helps tell a story about where the opportunities continue to lie still in these younger generational cohorts as well, and Timothy spoke a little bit about this earlier. So opportunity two, we've concentrated a little bit on consumers digitally. Now let's have a look at the digital marketing environment. And you know, this is a hackneyed phrase, but it's very true. Ad spend follows eyeballs, marketing spend follows eyeballs, and this is played out in the data. So another of our forecasts, this is our UK ad spending forecast growth that we see here, and per the time spent with media, we see that the digital portion continues to outperform the total media. The lines are actually quite close together. You might expect more growth for digital given what we saw in how much extra time people are spending with digital and how much they're spending in digital environments. The reason the gap isn't bigger is because actually the UK is a leading proponent in many digital measures, digital ad spending being one of them. In fact, it's not progressing, but I will tell you what it's supposed to say. Oh, here it is. China is the only market that actually leads the UK when we look at digital ad spend as a proportion of total media. That's also the same for retail e-commerce as a proportion of total retail. I think in the UK it's around 30%. It's twice the proportion of the US, and it only trails China again. I think that's about 40%. So let's now look at opportunity number 3, budgets. And when budgets are tight, we know what happens, and budgets are tight. If you remember that slide from earlier, 3/4 of advertisers are saying their spend is under heavy scrutiny. And I don't think Timothy's here. I don't have to apologize to him, but here's the frickin' funnel that he spoke about. That's going to be my new name for this. But in tough economic times, folks head down the funnel. They want to see activations. They want to see immediate results. And I'll go into this a little bit more, but like it or not, the affiliate channel still is perceived as being primarily bottom of the funnel stuff. So you benefit from that though, right? And just to, here's some more data, just to validate that, to give you some more insight. This is from the AOP. This is the kind of data I like because it's repeatable. They ask this question year after year. We go back a year at the start of 2022 when the economy wasn't great, but it's not what it is now. They asked UK publishers where they saw the most potential for revenue growth, a whole bunch of different responses. Conspicuous by its absence was affiliate marketing as a discrete channel that was mentioned. But fast forward to the beginning of this year and boing, there's affiliate marketing. Not at the top of the list, and you see these percentages are a lot smaller, which sort of illustrates how soft the market has been this year. But, you know, affiliate marketing comes to the fore. Okay, opportunity 4. This is where, again, Timothy's not here, so I don't have to apologize to him, but I'm going to sort of start banging on about the influencer opportunity. And it's worth talking about. You know, we wouldn't have a panel about it. We wouldn't have an influencer come up and talk to you if it wasn't an interesting and important area. Again, a lot of what I'm talking about here is about validation. It's the data to validate a lot of what we're talking about. And here's some data from Gartner. Change in digital marketing spend, according to, this is a worldwide data, CMOs worldwide by channel. There were actually a whole bunch of responses here, lots of different channels. I think there are about a dozen. I've just picked the top 3 because influencer marketing is on there in the number 3 spot, only a few percentage points behind the number 1, which is social advertising. And you know, social and digital and influencer, there's a lot of sort of cross-contamination there anyway. And again, going back to Timothy's presentation, he had some really fantastic advice about how you should be strategizing around the influencer channel. I just want to, again, provide some validation to that. So engagement in certain environments where you find influencers is really fascinating to look at. So I spoke about the time spent with media, forecast that we produce. I write a report around these every year, and it's always really interesting to look at. A lot of my readership is in the US. My peers are in the US. We have a working group for reports. And I go into the working group this year and I say, look, guys, I just want to show you this. It's really interesting. They like to know about TV and video because the UK is so different. We have the BBC effect and all that sort of stuff. So I said, look at this, right? We've got these different categories of time spent. So around 30 minutes a day by users of a digital video platforms I'm looking at here. We've got Prime Video, Disney Plus, slightly under 30 minutes for Disney Plus. This is how much time they're spending with the platforms. Not really of interest to advertisers yet. Certainly not for for influencers. But then I said, look, here's the next grouping, spending around 45 minutes per day on the platform. We've got YouTube and broadcaster video on demand. This is where their ears prick up. This is of more interest to digital advertising executives and influencers with YouTube, of course. And then I said, but here's the big one, right? So users of these platforms are spending about an hour per day with the platform. What do you think it is? And they correctly guessed the first one, Netflix. But they didn't guess TikTok. So TikTok users are spending 58 minutes per day on the platform. And at that point, a few heads exploded in the room. Really, really interesting stuff. And Timothy spoke about the power of these niche audiences on these influencer platforms. That they're niche and they're highly engaged. They're spending a lot of time with the platforms. Another adjacent area that I want to talk about, and there is a challenge involved in this one, is retail media. I don't think that's been mentioned yet today. I think this is the first event I've been to for quite a while where retail media hasn't been mentioned. It's something that we're tracking very closely in the States. We're building a UK number now, but I didn't feel confident to share it just yet. But the story is that this is a huge growth area. We're talking around about the same percentage growth that I postulated for affiliate, around a 30% growth number. And the growth has been much quicker for retail. We're calling it the third wave of digital advertising after search and social. But it's reaching certain landmarks quicker than either of those channels. Why is it important? And why is it a challenge? Well, retail media is competition for performance media dollars. Here's the second mention of the frickin' funnel. E-commerce channel ad spending, which is a subsection of retail media. So this is the vast majority of what we mean when we talk about retail media. This is the advertising that sits on a retailer's e-commerce site. You're right there. You're right at the intent to purchase. You're on a retailer's site. This is right at the bottom of the funnel. So that's where there's huge competition for the performance media dollars. The margins on offer are phenomenal as well. So retailers are used to working in the low single digits in terms of margins, 2, 3, 4%. Retail media, depending on who you listen to, 50, 60, 70, even 80% margins. So this is turning heads. And retail media is doing a really good job of moving up the funnel. So getting beyond that e-commerce channel ad spending right at the bottom of the funnel, you'll likely have seen some of the partnerships that are going on between some of the broadcast video on demand providers, ITV, and Boots, I think, and Nectar with Sainsbury's, providing lots of their first-party data, rich first-party data, with these CTV channels. So, it's a challenge, but also it's an opportunity because there's room for both. When you consider that Amazon makes up the vast majority of retail media ad spending, that's a US figure, 75%. Some estimates suggest that the UK is perhaps even higher than that. And retail media is looking to fold or could fold affiliate into its offering. It's looking to move up and down the funnel. It can carry affiliate along with it. So what next? That's all the data. That's all the directional stuff that I've got for you. What are the next steps? I'm going to borrow a little bit from Max again. I paraphrase Max because he wrote the report on affiliate, like literally, he wrote a report on affiliate marketing last year. Did a lot of research into this. One of the findings that he came up with was that strong, robust measurement is required. And as Timothy mentioned, you can measure in affiliate. That's exactly what you can do. There isn't standard industry measurement solutions, but figure that out, commit to the commitment, and there's a real great opportunity for growth here. I I might have borrowed Max here, but I'm paraphrasing. Follow the growth. I'm taking some responsibility for this one. So we spoke about adjacencies. They might appear to be even competition, but there's huge opportunity. So we know about the influencer opportunity, and again, lots of great strategic insight from Timothy about that. Retail media, even outside of affiliate, retail media is really new. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, and lots of people there are struggling to get their heads around retail media. That means it's a great opportunity, getting in at the ground level. And finally, again, I'm going to fall back on Max Willens, going up and down the funnel. I can't remember what Timothy called it, the funnel magic or something. You know, there's an opportunity for you, for the affiliate channel, not to be just associated with bottom of the channel stuff. And the massive growth that we've seen, sure, it's an opportunity in a down economy, in a down market, but that's not always going to be there. So, you know, expanding beyond bottom of the funnel, moving up the funnel, could be really important to future growth in the channel. That's it. I hope there was some interesting data in there. Again, a lot of it is about validation. But there we go. That's it. Thank you very much.